Hello everyone, I'm Priyateli. In today's video, we are going to see the program for search window for our placement management system. In previous video, we seen the program for login form and the password reset for our placement management system. So in today's video, we are going to see the program for search window. So let's see how it looks first. In this way, our search window will look. So here comes the text field. Here it is the label, that is enter user ID or company name. Here we have three buttons: search data, reset data, and logout. And we have this set our frame resizable as true so that we can maximize it. So let's see the program for same. Here we have imported few important packages, that is javax.spring.star, javax.spring.table.default table model, javax.spring.table.star, java.awt.star, java.awt.event.action event, java.awt.event.action-listener, and java.sql.star. So we have here class name as search, which implements action listener interface. Here we have all these swing components, that is JFrame, JLabel, JTextField, JButton, and JTable. We have created objects for those. In this program we have two JFrame objects, frame1 and frame2, and all these are objects for these components. Then we have this connection class object as connection and segment class object as segment. We have this static variable flag initially set to 0. Now this is the constructor search, where we call our new frame JFrame constructor with the help of this frame1 object. Then we have set the title for our frame as placement details. Then we have called this method set default close operation jframe.exit on close, so that we will be able to close this window without any problem. Otherwise it will not get closed even though you click many times. Then we have here for our first frame we have used here grid bag layout. So we will first of all create the object for our grid bag layout class, and to add component to the frame which has grid bag layout, we need to create the instance of grid bag constraints. So to add components to this frame having grid bag layout, we need to create instance of grid bag constraints. So we have this object, we have created this object named bag constraints for this grid bag constraints class. Now we have set the size for our first frame, which is 1000 by 1000, and we have set the layout as grid bag layout. With the help of we have passed here the object of this grid bag layout class which we have created before. Then we have this insets method. So bag constraints, this is the object of grid bag constraints. Bag constraints dot insets is equal to new insets. We have here implementation insets. We pass these arguments to this, that is y, x, width and height. This is the padding or gap between the components that are to be added to the frame, that is the gap between this. So this is x, this is y. So here we have y as 15 and x as 40, as we have seen here. Then we have this component, that is this is the object of our text field. So we call this and we pass here the string as this is the label which will appear on the frame. Enter user ID or company name. Then while placing the components, we have not used here set bounds method because we have our grid bag layout. So in this case what we do is we have methods grid x, grid y, which grid x means we set here the location for column. Grid x means column, grid y means row. That is here if we have this bag constraints which is object of grid bag constraints. I said earlier that we use this instance of grid bag constraint to add components to the frame. So with the help of this grid x and grid y method. So grid x is that is column 0. Grid x equal to 0 means column 0, and bag constraints dot grid y equal to 0 means row 0. That means Here we have here column 0, column 1, column 2. Similarly, we have row 0, row 1, row 2 in that way. So here column is 0 and row is 0. So for first label we have grid X as 0 and grid Y as also 0. And here the text field is at column 1 and row 0. So the grid X will be 1 and grid Y will be 0. Similarly, this search button is at column 0 but row 1. So grid X will be 0 and row will be 1. Similarly, this reset data button is in the column 1 but column 1 and row 1. So grid X 1, grid Y 1. So your logout button is at column 2 and row 1. So grid X is 2 and grid Y is 1. So we can see here similarly we have it for all the components. And one more thing is here we have iPad Y, that is it is our uh, height. So we have height as 10 pixel here, and if we write here iPad X, that means width for the particular component. Then here we have used it iPad X and here we have used iPad Y. When how we are going to add these components to the frame with the help of dot add method. So frame1 dot add, and here in this case we are going to add the component comma back constants, that is their location. Now we have these three buttons and we have added action listeners to all these three buttons, and inside the bracket comes this keyword. This comes inside the class which implements the action listener interface. Then we have, after everything, we have set our frame visibility as true with the help of set visible method, and at the end we write frame1.validate so that it arranges all the components inside the layout. Then from this main method, we have our main method here. We call our the constructor of our search class. Then we have this action performed method. Here we have created the object for action event class. So if e.getSource is equal to fetch button, that is fetch button means the button that is search data button, then what should happen? We have specified it here. So first of all, what we are going to do is we are fetching the text entered into the text field into this username string variable with the help of dot get next method. Then we pass this text or pass the string as an argument to the frame second method, which is here. We have its implementation further. Then if e.getSource is equal to reset button, then we are setting the text field as empty text field, or we are erasing the text entered into the text field. So we are going to do this with the help of set text method. So set text inside the bracket empty braces so that text field will be emptied. Then we have e.getSource is equal to logout button. Whenever a logout button is clicked, the frame should be killed or frame should be destroyed. So for that we have dispose method. So frame1.dispose. Then after disposing, we are going to display the message logout successful with the help of this J option pane dot show message dialog method, and we pass it as object as null comma logout successful message. Then we have this frame second function where which is receiving this string as an argument username. This username consists of the text which is entered into our text field. So in this case, whenever this function is called, second frame will be created. So we call this jframe constructor with the help of this frame to object, and its title will be set to as placement details. Then here three important methods, that is set layout. Here we have used flow layout. Earlier for frame 1 we had used grid bag layout. Now here we set size for our frame. This is width and height. Then this is default table model object of default table model class. With the help of this object we call this default table model constructor having no arguments. Then we with the help of this table object for JTable we call our JTable constructor and pass this default table model object as an argument to its constructor, so that the data might be in whichever form or in an unorganized form, it will be uh, organized into, or it will be arranged into a row and column format. with the help of this default table model object. We have another implementation of JTable, that is abstract table model, but mostly default table model is used. Then we have this set preferred scrollable viewport size method. Table.set preferred scrollable viewport size, and inside that we pass our dimension, user defined dimensions 1000 by 1000. Then we set the row height for our table as 50. Then we have set fills viewport height, and we set it as true. Then we have frame2 dot add new j scroll pen, and we pass the object as table, so that a scroll bar will be added to our frame as soon as our data gets more and more data get is inserted in the table. So there will be scroll bar added to our table inside the frame, and we pass the object to it as our table object. Then we have default table model dot add column. So with the help of these add column methods, we are adding these columns to our frame, that is username column, roll name. This is user defined names to our column. We can give any name, but we have given these names: username, roll number, branch, because we are going to display the details inside these columns in this sequence. So we have added these columns to our frame with the help of add column method, which is called on this default table model object. Then we have created a object of JTable header, that is table header, equal to table.get table header. So with the help of this method, we get headers of the column into this table header object. Then we have created the object for font class. This header font is equal to new font, and the font name is Tahoma, and the font type is font.plain. Here you may write anything like plain, central baseline, solid, bold, italic, anything. Here we have the font size as 16. Then we add these font to our table header. So table header dot set font header font, and we also add this header font, this font, to other components of the table. So table dot set font header font. Then in further we have the critical program which we have taken inside the try catch block. So here the program comes for JDBC. Connection object is equal to driver manager dot get connection method we use to establish the connection. This is the fixed URL where the change will be host name. In my case it is localhost. Then we have 3306, that which is port number for MySQL server. In my case, if it is different, you have to change it. Then here it comes database name. In my case it is reg. It might, here comes the database name, whichever it will be in your case. Then this is the username, which is root, and the password is empty. If you are using the phpMyAdmin, then you may have same credentials or else different. You have to replace it with your credentials. Then I have this statement class object statement is equal to, we call this create statement method on the connection object. Then we have this query. We have taken this into a string variable, that is query, and our query is we are going to perform inner join on 3 tables named student details, company details, and result table. So we are going to select name, PRN, balance, college name, company name, placed here from student details table, then average from result table, and type from student table. So we have this S as alias for student details table and R as alias for result table. So let's see further. From student details, S, we have created this alias as inner join result R on R is the alias for result table on s.prn is equal to r.prn. The common attribute between these two tables, student details and the result, is prn. Prn is the roll number. Then again inner join company details, third table. This is company details and its alias is C, where s.cgpa, what condition we are going to set is where s.cgpa1 is greater than c.cutoff, that is cgpa for the students, cgpa1, that is CGPA of first year for student, should be greater than c.cutoff, that is cutoff of the company. Similarly for other 3 years, that is s.cgpa2 greater than c.cutoff and s.cgpa3 greater than C dot cutoff, and S dot CGPA 4 greater than C dot cutoff, and S dot type is equal to C dot type. It means type, that is branch type, hard or soft branch. So if student is from hard or soft branch, whether it equals the company, the branch type that company requires, that is whether hard branch company is requiring or soft branch, what is the requirement of the company. So if it matches, then that students will be displayed. Then we have this result set object is equal to statement dot execute query. We call this execute query method to execute our query, and inside this we pass the query, that is in which we have taken this query. This query variable is passed as an argument, and then the query will be executed and the results are taken into this result set object. This acts as a cursor, iterates to the row. So we use while loop to iterate throughout the table, and we have the dot next method for this. So string name is, we are going to fetch the values from these columns, that is name column, parent column, branch column, college name column, company column. All these columns are inside our inside my table, and these are the specific column names which are there into my tables. This is case sensitive. So the values from that column from each row are fetched into these variables, name, role, depth, college name, in that way. So we are going to compare these values with those inserted into the text field. So text field only accepts two values, that is either a roll number or a company name. So we are going to compare it with these two things, that is roll number and the company name. So if username dot equals ignore case role, why we have used dot ignore equals ignore case? Because if any user inserts the capital, whether it inserts capital or small letters for a company name, it should display the data. That's why we have used equals ignore case and not dot equals only. So dot equals ignore case role, or username dot equal ignore case company name. If it is true, if it satisfies this condition, then we are setting the flag variable as 1, and then default table model dot add row, we're going to add a row to our column, sorry, to our table, and it will have the sequence in this way. We're going to add these values which are fetched from the row, that particular row which satisfies the condition, to our table with the help of this new object. This is like array. We are passing name, roll number, department, college name, company name, placed year, average, type, etc. These things are passed in the same sequence in which we have defined we are added the column to our frame. Then we are setting, after everything, we are setting our frame 2 as visible, and its visibility is set to true, and then we set frame 2 dot validate to arrange the components as per the layout. Then break, and then if our frame, um, if this condition is not satisfied, then flag variable will be remain 0 only. So in that case, this message will be displayed, that is no such username found. Then we have this catch block, where we have created the object for exception, SQL exception class, that is EE. So EE dot print stack trace, if in case any exception is occurred, then this message, all the info regarding this exception will be printed on the console with the help of this print stack trace method. So let's see how this works. Here is the first of all, you need to start your open your XAMPP control panel and start this Apache and MySQL servers, and then try to run it. So you will get something like this, some window like this. Here is the text field, this is the label, these are the three buttons. So here we can insert either a roll number or a company name. So first we will try to insert some wrong roll number or some any number which is not registered. Then it will when you click on the search data, it will display the message no such username found. When we will click on reset data, the field will be cleared. Now let's try to insert some valid roll number which is registered before through student details form, or then we can click on the search button. So we get all the info regarding the particular student of that roll number, that is 52, and we are able to see its username, roll number, branch, college name, company name, placed or not, whether the particular student is placed or not. Then we have the year, that is third year, fourth year, whatever. Average, for average CGPA of 4 years. Then we have the type of that particular branch type of that student, whether a soft branch or a hard branch. Then we have another choice, that is either we can insert a company name also. If we insert company name, then we will be able to see the students which are eligible for to that company. So when we search, we are going to see here the list of students which are eligible for that particular Wipro company in this way. And here also the same things are displayed. So here works the reset data button, and when we click on the logout, the frame is disposed and the logout successful message is printed. In this way it works. Here one more important thing I am going to tell you once again. You need to download this MySQL connector jar file and insert it into your library section of your project. So in my case, my project name is registration form, so I have imported this MySQL connector jar file inside my library section. You need to do the same. So first of all, I will show you how the table looks. Here I am having 4 tables: company details, result, student details, and depot details. These are the company details table having some data inserted into it. Then this is a result table. Here we are not inserting any data manually, but whenever we are going to insert something on student details table, any new user or student is inserted, then their 4-year CGPA are inserted into this column from that column, just from that column. And here we have PRN as a foreign key, which is taken from student details reference. Then we have this average column, which here what is happening is average of these 4 CGPA is being calculated and it is inserted into these columns. So for this purpose we have set a trigger. We are not manually inserting any of these values or calculating this manually. So let's see how this takes place. We have to go to this trigger after clicking on the database name. We are going to click on this triggers section. We are going to go to this trigger section. Here I am having this trigger created. Let's see what is the program. So this is the syntax: create trigger name. So in my case, name of the trigger is result. When to set, that is when should this trigger should be called, after or before. So it is set to as after what. So here comes the event when it should be called: after inserting, or after deleting, after updating, or before deleting, before inserting, before updating, in that way. So we have set it as after insert, whenever there will be insert on which table, on student details table. For each row, not any specific row, but for each row, this is going to be called insert. Whenever this will be called, what should happen, what this trigger should do. So there should be one event, that is insert into result is the name of my table. Insert into result values. Which value? Newly inserted value, which will be inserted into our PRN, CGPA1, all that sections. So new.prn, comma new.cgpa1, comma new.cgpa2, comma new.cgpa3, comma new.cgpa4, comma, and fifth column we have is our average column. So in that, what should be inserted? We are going to set here formula so that it will be calculated and that value will be inserted to our average column. So new.cgpa1 plus new.cgpa2 plus new.cgpa3 plus new.cgpa4 by 4. In this way this program works whenever the trigger is called. So let's see how to create a trigger. We have here add trigger option. Go to just click on that. Here we can give any name to our trigger, say suppose XYZ, and here comes the table on which you are going to call the trigger. So we are adding trigger to student details table, and what here we have in our case, it is after insertion on student details. So after, here you have to select the time as after, and after which event we are going to call this trigger: after insert. After insert on student details, XYZ trigger will be called. And what it is going to do, we will write a program here what should be done after this trigger is called. So it is here. This was for PRN column, that is new dot PRN. This was for CGPA 1 column. This value is for CGPA 2 column. This value is for CGPA 3 column, and this value is for CGPA 4 column. And our fifth column is named average column. So in that we have to insert the value calculated average of these four CGPA. So what we are going to set here formula for that. In this way, this value will be calculated for the average, and that value will be inserted into the fifth row. So this we have to mention here the definer, that is in case of username root, here comes the username at the rate localhost, here hostname. So username at the rate hostname. So this is optional, this is not mandatory to insert. Here we can it is not mandatory to fill this field. Then just click on the go button, then the trigger will be created. So I'm already having the same trigger, so I'm dropping this, and I will show you how it works, how the value is inserted into this result table. So let's go to our program and insert the values to the student details with the help of the student details form. We are having this form, so let's insert some value like just a minute. So suppose roll number 1. Let's click on the save button to save this data or insert this data to the student details table. The message will be printed, so user registered successfully. So this data is inserted to our table. Let's check it. um, so we are able to see this which we recently inserted, and also when we go to the result table, you will be able to see that this average is calculated and inserted as per the details which we have entered. So in this way our trigger works. So that's all. In this way it works. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed my video, then please like the video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.